Hi, hello. As most of you have already seen on Instagram, it's really not a surprise because also it's on the thumbnail, but I did in the end go to the store. I swatched the Eclat Nuit quad from Chanel and I decided to purchase it after all. I did not purchase the blush, so yay for that, but I kind of fell in love with the quad, so it came home with me. Also because I was able to get it on quite a good deal. They were having a 25% off sale, which included Chanel, and I had some coupon code, so in the end I bought it for like 35 euros or something, while the original price was 61. So overall, not a bad deal. But because I purchased the quad, I thought it might be fun to come and actually do a look with it so that we can sort of like compare to my dupe look that I did last week with my pet pairing video. I'm as usual going to start with my Eclat eyeshadow base, which as you can see now is really getting to the point where I'm squeezing out the absolute last bits, I think. So for those of you who are completely lacking context here, last week I mentioned in several videos that I was very tempted by the new Chanel collections. Their winter one, the Le Beige, and the quad is sort of like a separate release. It's not really a part of the winter collection, so I count it as two separate collections, and I was very attracted to both. So the blushes that I'm talking about are the cute ones with the snowflakes on them, which would be absolutely perfect right now because it is fucking snowing in the Netherlands. Excuse my language, but when it snows in this country, it's literally like the whole country goes haywire. Let me tell you what I'm doing for foundation. You know what? I think I'm going to do the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation in the shade Deauville. So basically, I don't dare to bike, and I would happily take the bus because it's only like a 10-minute ride to work. But like I said, when it snows in this country, all bets are off, especially when it comes to public transport. You cannot rely on public transport. And I have to pick up Nicola on time from school today because I'm picking him up from school. It's my mommy afternoon. So basically I pick him up, and then in the afternoon we are usually just at home, and I'm like either working or we're doing something together. But he has to be picked up at school at a certain time, and if the buses are having such delays, I really do not dare to take the bus, and I'm absolutely not going to bike. So I don't really know why I went on this tangent. Oh yeah, I was talking about the Le Beige blushes that have the snowflake imprint on them. So yeah, that would have been an absolutely, you know, perfect match made in heaven, the little snowflake blushes with the weather outside. To conceal, I'm going to take the Dior Skin Correct Concealer in the shade 1N. But talking about the two collections, I mentioned last week in my videos that I was super attracted to them and I was trying to dupe them in an attempt to convince myself out of buying them without giving any guarantees that I'm not going to buy them, because I had said in my videos last week that I was planning on going in store to swatch the items before making up my mind ultimately what I'm going to do. And I went in store. Luckily they had them already in store and on display, and I could swatch them at my leisure. And the blushes truly are really pretty. They're really cute, and honestly there's really nothing bad I can say about them. I feel like this foundation gets along really well with the Dior Backstage powder, so I'm going to take that. This is the shade 2N. The shade that I had in mind in terms of the blush was the shade Mauve Glacé, and I have to say in real life it really was more like a raspberry pink than it really was purple. Like in certain photos people made it look really purple, and that was a little bit concerning to me. However, when I was in store it was quite obviously, you know, a true raspberry pink, and it had a really good pigmentation to it and a bit of a sheen. Really pretty. But I was a good girl and I decided that I'm not going to buy a raspberry blush with a snowflake on it, because the amount of times I'm going to use something with a snowflake on it per year are just too few to justify the price of 65 euros. Even with the sale, 65 euros for a blush is really a lot. Like the actual quad was 61 euros and you get 4 eyeshadows, so you win some, you lose some, you know. So I decided, okay, I can leave the blush. I'm in good conscience, you know, going to leave the blush behind, and I'm not going to lust after it, but I am going to do my brows. I'm going to take the Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax. So that was all fine, but then I went to swatch the quad, and as you will know if you've watched the videos from last week, and if you haven't, let me fill you in. I was especially attracted to the flaky shade that is in the bottom right corner of the quad, which has a very interesting and unique tone and texture to it. It is a flaky baked dome eyeshadow, which is an enigmatic silver taupe green with golden sparkle to it, and I was just very intrigued by this eyeshadow. But it looked very similar to an eyeshadow from Pat McGrath Labs, from like a very old kit from Pat McGrath Labs that I already have, and I was afraid of duping myself. So I decided that before I purchase that quad blindly, I can wait, swatch it in store to make sure that it's not the same as the pigment from Pat McGrath Labs. And then as soon as I swatched it, I realized it is not the same as the pigment from Pat McGrath Labs, because the pigment from Pat is a lot lighter in tone. And I just liked the whole vibe of the quad, honestly. I'm going to take the Victoria Beckham contour stick in the shade Sandstone. This is a product that truly surprises me as how much I'm, you know, willing to reach for. I really thought, oh, something like a contour I will probably do a few times a year, but I'm enjoying this product so much that I actually look forward to using it again, and I don't mind the extra step, because I still go in with a bronzer, you know, just to be extra. I could totally skip the bronzer because this is more than enough to like bronzer for me, but I do like the idea of having a little bit of a like more neutral toned bronzer as well. So I am being super extra. For bronzer, I'm going to take the diffused bronze light from Hourglass. So basically, long story short, after I swatched the quad in store, I decided that the quad needs to go home with me, and that is basically how it all came about. I love the texture of these Hourglass powders. I was snooping around Vinted yesterday trying to find dim light, low-key regretting that last year or the year before I saw like a full size of dim light, like a brand new one or mostly brand new one on Vinted for 25 euros, and I decided not to buy it because at the time I was not in a hurry to have an Hourglass powder back in my life. But I've been starting to really miss having like my finishing powder from Hourglass, and I think I will have to either wait now to find it on Vinted in the right shade, or I will have to purchase it more full price-ish from whichever retailer sells Hourglass that is available to me, that is. For blush, I'm going to take one of my favorite winter blushes. This is the shade Nude Venus 2 from Pat McGrath Labs. A beautiful light peachy pink with a pink sheen to it, which I think also actually works very well as a dupe for the shade from Chanel, if I'm being honest. I think on the skin the Chanel one probably would look just a little bit warmer and more raspberry. This is still slightly maybe more cool toned, but Nude Venus 2 is still perfect for this kind of weather. It creates exactly the effect that I'm looking for, especially with that beautiful cool toned pink sheen on it. And for highlighter, I'm going to take another one of my favorites. This is a Venusian Nude from Pat McGrath Labs. Oh my gosh, speaking of Pat McGrath Labs, we need to talk about that new Valentine's Day collection, because I'm fucking outraged. Again, excuse my language. Oh my gosh. So Pat has announced her Valentine's Day collection, and when she did the like little teasers with the red and the red packaging and the blue rose against it, I was like, oh my gosh, that looks beautiful. Very naively, low-key hoping that there will be a quad with Blitz Astro shades, which is really stupid. Like a Valentine's Day collection, possibly one of the like least important limited edition collections of the year, baked Astro shades. Come on, be honest. I'm getting to the point though where I'm holding this highlighter and not having used it yet. I'm going to mention the products, I'm going to mention the ones that I liked, and finally we're going to talk about the quad, because that's obviously the most outrage-inducing item in the collection. But the collection comes with a baked highlighter, which is nice because it points to the fact that the oven isn't broken and she can still make baked products. 2 lipsticks, and like I said, the quad. Now the highlighter is probably one of the few items of this collection that I would highly recommend, especially if you don't have any of her other baked highlighters, because to me these are gorgeous. The only reason that I'm really doubting if I want to buy it is because I have a lot of her other highlighters, and I have this shade. This is the shade Venusian Nude, and the new one is called Nude Opal, and I'm sure it's a slightly different tone, but in the end of the day it's the same formula, and this one is already like the perfect color for me. A very underrated product in Pat's collection in my opinion, especially this specific shade, because I think it is just so universally flattering and it literally works with every freaking single look that you can think of. Like, look how pretty that is. So I'm not going to get the highlighter, even though I think the highlighter is probably the highlight of this collection. Then there are two lipsticks, and I'll be honest with you, I actually think the two lipsticks are also really pretty. The Peachy Nude I'm a little bit in doubt about, because Peachy Nudes and I don't always get along so well, especially because them being nudes. But then there is a deeper shade of lipstick that will be mine. On sale, but it will be mine. It is a terracotta, whatever. I saw the word terracotta and I was sold. I'm going to spritz my sponge with a bit of Fix Plus. But the quad, you guys, the quad is truly an atrocity. It is really a very discouraging indication of where Pat McGrath Labs are going with the brand. Because not only are there no interesting textures of eyeshadows in that quad, and they're literally all repeats. And I want to make something clear. To me, that there are repeats in her quads is not really a huge issue, especially when it comes to a Valentine's Day collection, because I don't think Valentine's Day collections, they're like so themed, so specific for such a short period of time. You're not going to make a lot of buck with a Valentine's Day collection. So I understand that they don't want to make an effort to put out something completely new. Would have been nice if they made the effort to put like at least one frigging different eyeshadow in there, but they're all repeats. The thing that I'm the most outraged about is that they're repeats from literally the collection before that. 3 of the eyeshadows come from the one of the mega motherships that came out for the holiday collection this past year. What in the F is that? Like, at least if you're going to put, you know, repeat shades, make them something a little bit more special. For example, there is a purple in the quad that is called something noir, amethyst noir, I think. And I thought, why not put something like Synthetica in that quad? Because then at least you would get an older discontinued shade that is very hard to find these days, and a purple that is actually truly special. I think this is one of the best dark smoky purples that Pat has ever given us, the shade Synthetica, and Synthetica has never made it back in a palette from her. So I think, you know, if you had put at least something like Synthetica, I would have sort of like justified having the repeats in there. But then, the thing that just flabbergasted me and I didn't realize when I first saw the reveal, the quad is in cardboard, you guys. So we're talking about 4 plain, like in terms of texture, extremely plain eyeshadows in cardboard packaging. Wait for it, wait for the catch. It's still $56. Please, someone make it make sense. You can get the whole freaking mega mothership with 3 of the eyeshadows in that quad, plus a bunch of extra shades, plus 2 blushes for less than the price of that quad. Let that sink in. I've seen the Starstruck Splendor Mega Mothership on her site for 46 euros. So I'm assuming that the, you know, the deeper version with the warmer shades, I think it was called Jewel Temptation, would be the same price on sale. So you can get 3 plus an extra 6 eyeshadows plus 2 full-size type blushes for 46 euros, and this quad in cardboard packaging costs 56. I have no words for this. This is audacity and trolling at the next level. No, Pat McGrath Labs. Just no. Alright, now that we have cleansed ourselves of the negative thoughts that the Valentine's Day collection from Pat McGrath Labs has invoked in us, or at least some of us, let's talk about this beautiful creation here. So this is the Eclat de Nuit Chanel quad that I've been lusting after. I'm going to quickly swatch all the eyeshadows for you. I will talk briefly about the formula, and then I am going to tell you what I think about everything. Okay, so real quick swatches on my knuckly hand here of the 4 eyeshadows. Here is the black, the satin taupe, the matte, so more deeper taupe, and the enigmatic, like I said, taupe, silver, platinum, green, inexplicable kind of smoky shade. Super pretty. First thing, let's talk about the formula. So these are a baked formula. They are not a baked gelée, not to be confused with baked gelée. They are just a good old like baked powder, and you can recognize that type of formula from the fact that it is very domed in the pan. Now, something to be noted about a formula like this is that it will always have especially if it's not like flaky looking like this one here, it will always have a somewhat lighter pigmentation. It is the name of the game, it is the texture of this kind of eyeshadow that is not going to give you wham bam metallic shine or pigment. So if that's what you're expecting from a Chanel quad with this formula, then you're deeply wrong. Second of all, something that I want to mention as a huge disadvantage of this quad is that to me these two shades here are sort of redundant, because yes, they are a different like finish on the skin. This one is more of like a satin matte, this one is more of like a satin with a bit of a metallic finish to it, but when you blend them on the eye, yeah, one has a bit of a sheen and the other one doesn't. And so what? I feel like there could have been a little bit more variety in the tones. I think this one maybe could have been just a little bit deeper in tone, just to differentiate a bit more from this one. With these two, I have no qualm. They are beautiful. They are very pigmented and buildable and just a glorious formula. And I understand why these are, you know, in the finishes that they are. They're meant to like have a different effect on the eye. But unfortunately, because of that lighter pigmentation and the fact that they're sort of in the same color spectrum, like a light taupe brown shade, they kind of end up looking really similar on the eye. I did try them I was just at home fucking around yesterday, and I did try both of these on my eyes, and literally the only difference that I could truly tell was that this one had a sheen which made it a little bit lighter in tone. So there is that. And finally, I wanted to compare to you very quickly the pigment from Pat McGrath Lab, so this is Mercury, to the enigmatic shade from Chanel. And I think you can already see even from the pans that the one from Chanel is just a little bit smokier. Now the nice thing about this comparison is that at least in terms of their like formula and finish, they're sort of the same. Except the one from Pat is more of like a smooth metallic, whereas the other one has a bit of a flake going on to it. But it is also a lot lighter in tone. Mercury from Pat McGrath Labs is like a distant cousin of the shade from Chanel. The shade from Chanel has so much more like smoke to it, and while I do think that they are relatives and they are, you know, sort of in the same family, I very much think that they are not the same eyeshadow. So if you have the pigment from Pat McGrath Labs and you were afraid, like I was, that you were going to dupe yourself by purchasing this quad, then shan't you worry, that is not an issue. In fact, I actually think Mercury is going to make a perfect inner corner highlight or like a base for that shadow from Chanel. I'm going to play around with that, and I think actually I'm going to just use this one as my inner corner highlight today. I have zoomed you in for the demo portion of this video, so I'm first going to start by applying this shade over here, just all over my lid, so you can see the tone of this shade. I think that you can also just use it as your like crease shade moment, but I know that a lot of people are going to like these two eyeshadows in particular for like one and dones for during the day. So I'm just going to quickly demonstrate how this eyeshadow looks on its own all over the lid. Another thing that I want to mention, I feel like this one might be prone to developing hard pan. None of the other ones seem this way, only this one, but I did want to mention it. It is also the one that to me is like the most difficult to get any pigment, like any proper pigment out of. But it does make for a very nice like contour shade because it is quite neutral in tone. And I'm sort of concentrating this shade here in the crease because I'm mostly aiming to use it really as a contour. But I think for a lot of people this is going to be their perfect one and done eyeshadow for during the day. And I'm using, by the way, one of the new Sonia G brushes that was part of the Sunset Cranes set. Next, I want to quickly show you how the satin shadow over here looks like on the lid, and I'm actually just going to use my finger for that because I feel like that way it applies the most amount of like sheen without having to apply a glitter glue, because I'll be honest with you, these being somewhat of a hybrid between a matte and a metallic, well, metallic is really a strong word here, but they're not going to really work with glitter glue. I really don't think that an eyeshadow like this one is going to work with glitter glue. As you can see, this makes for, you know, a very subtle, cool-toned, smoky eye look. So I think a lot of people would really enjoy this as their like office look. but I wanted to sort of show you the difference between like the deeper taupe shade and the lighter taupe shade. Yes, they're slightly different, but honestly, because it's a quad and you're so limited with 4 eyeshadows, I feel like there could have been a little bit more versatility here. They could have added just something a little bit different in tone to make this a bit more versatile, but that's just my take. Maybe something that I want to mention specifically for the way I envisage myself using these 2 eyeshadows in particular. I very much enjoy and appreciate a formula like this when I want to layer things. So for example, especially lately, I've really been enjoying using liquid eyeshadows, and I think liquid eyeshadows would be the perfect finishing touch for this. Like Emily from the Liquid Lurex from Lisa Eldridge would be the absolutely perfect finishing touch to this look, or literally like a bunch of other eyeshadows. Anise would be beautiful. Which one? Maybe even Cosmic Chartreuse from Pat McGrath would create a very interesting effect here. But the advantage of these textures is that because they are baked and they're so lightweight, they do not create any additional texture on your lids. So when you want to layer things, you want to create less texture, not more texture. But unfortunately, putting things on top of each other, again, is the name of the game. You create more texture the more things you put over top of each other. Which is why these textures are so beautiful and so suitable for layering, because they create literally zero texture on your lids. It's like a little veil of powder, and then whatever you put on top isn't going to exacerbate even more like texture on your lids. Again, obviously also because of that, these are going to be extremely suited for people who have a little bit more textured eyelids, but I really enjoy them for layering purposes. Next, I'm going to go into the black eyeshadow here and a pencil brush, and I'm going to do a little bit of like smoking out here of the lashes right here and create like the tiniest little wing, especially to create the effect that my lashes are a little bit fuller. Whenever you push a very dark color into your lashes, it really makes your lashes look fuller and more rich. Everything so far has applied really beautifully in terms of how it looks on the lids and the skin, and it is so easy to blend out. But that's really why these baked eyeshadows are so nice to work with. Now, I am going to take a little bit of glitter glue because the flaky eyeshadow, in my opinion, is going to look its absolute best when you apply it over a glitter glue. So I'm just going to take the absolute tiniest bit. I'm going to apply also a little bit in my inner corner because I want to put mercury there later on. And then just dab the slightest bit of that glitter glue on my lids. And again, I'm just going to use my fingers in order to apply this beautiful eyeshadow here from the Chanel Quad. It is just so pretty, and it has that very interesting smoky undertone to it. So nice. That is just so elegant and so pretty, and this eyeshadow is so unique. Good job, Chanel. I'm going to go back and re-intensify the black shade just here very close to the lashes. I'm not really going for an actual like winged liner. If I wanted to, I could, but honestly I just want a bit more definition here in the lashes and leaving it at like sort of like a smoky eye. I'm going to quickly finish off my lower lashes as well, and I'm just going to take the Satin Matte Taupe shade to run along the lower lashes. It's going to be mixed a little bit with the black because I had a bit of the black left on my pencil brush, which is perfect. And finally, I'm going to clean off my pencil brush, and I'm very quickly going to apply the Mercury pigment from Pat in the inner corner of the eye, because I think it's going to be the absolute perfect finishing touch to this look. I mean, you don't have to. You can put your highlighter, or you can even put the satin shade as your inner corner highlight, but I can't help but think that these two are made for each other. Let me show you how this looks under artificial lighting, because it actually looks very sparkly. I was hesitating between doing a red lipstick and going a little bit more neutral, and in the end I decided that I want to keep it more neutral and actually a bit more like hydrated and shiny on the lips. So I'm just wearing the Affair lip gloss from Lisa Eldridge as a final touch to this look, and I really love how the look turned out. I am very, very happy with how this look turned out, so if it wasn't clear from the demo, let me reiterate. I very much enjoy my purchase and I'm very happy that I got this quad, because I don't know for how long it's going to be around. It is a limited edition thing. Now, I will say this, in the Netherlands, it seems like these luxury limited edition things, if they make it here, they tend to hang around for a while, because I want to say that I've even seen the fall blushes, the one with the leaves on them, still in store up till very recently. So at least with that we're quite lucky. And I want to say that a lot of the items that have been around since the summer are still on the Chanel website. So if you're in the Netherlands, you're not really in like a super hurry to decide if you want to purchase this quad. I think if you're elsewhere in the world, and especially in the US, where these things seem to be very, very limited because the supply and demand is a little bit more skewed towards more demand, then you might want to make up your mind a little bit faster. So what I will say about this quad, texture, finishes, formula, 10 out of 10. Color story, 7, 8 out of 10, just because I think these are slightly too redundant in my opinion, but I can understand where they were going for with the different finishes, so at least I will give them that. This eyeshadow is absolutely phenomenal. It is one of the most unique eyeshadows. I don't think I have anything quite like this in my collection, because to me this eyeshadow is just perfection in terms of the texture, the formula, and the color, and the undertone, and just the whole package. I love it. I'm going to get a lot of use out of this quad. Is it the more versatile thing in the world? It's a quad, so you should never expect a lot of versatility from 4 eyeshadows, but I do think you can do quite a lot. You can do really smoky things, you can do very daytime appropriate things, you can go a little bit sparkly, you can take it in quite a few different directions, but they're all going to remain in the cool toned realm. So you need to ask yourself if cool tones are what you enjoy. If cool tones are something you enjoy, and especially interesting cool tones with like unique undertones to them, then I think you're really going to love this quad. So overall, for me, if you are, you know, a fan of all of these things that I mentioned, I would highly recommend to get this while it is still around. I'm very curious what you thought about this look. In terms of the dupe look that I did with Pat McGrath Labs, I was also correct in that original video when I said that I think I took the look in a much more green direction than it originally leans into. I think this is much more of like a taupe with hints of gold and green than it really is green. But I did very much enjoy the eyeshadow that I created with that layering, so you know, I'm not complaining. But anyway, I'm starting to go off on tangents here, so I'm just going to wrap this video up. Let me know what you thought about this look. Did you purchase this quad? What do you think about it? Let's chat about it in the comment section below. Also, let's chat about the Valentine's Day collection from Pat McGrath Labs. I'm always curious to hear what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!